This is your official WWE Stomping Grounds 2019 review here on the JBSN Media Network YouTube channel page. Jeff here with you. Let's go ahead and get into it. It took place from the Tacoma Dome in Tacoma, Washington, just outside of Seattle. Estimated crowd of about 6,000 to 7,000 was in attendance for this. The crowd was pretty vocal, I will say, despite not being a sellout. They did a very good job of hiding the empty seats throughout the broadcast. There was one match on the pre-show. It was for the WWE Cruiserweight title in a triple threat match. Tony Nese put that title up on the line against Akira Tozawa and Drew Gulak. This was actually a pretty strong match to get it going here, try to get the crowd warmed up for the show. Each guy had a chance to showcase their talents throughout the match. My pick was Tony Nese to retain the title, but Lord and behold, we have a new champion in roughly 11 minutes and 20 seconds, because I actually timed every match on the card. Drew Gulak beat Akira Tozawa with the Torture Rack Neckbreaker Slam to win his first title, and he is a new WWE Cruiserweight title. So Tony Nese was not involved in the decision, so I imagine on 205 Live there will be something made about that this week where he may try to get a rematch with Drew Gulak. But for the time being, Pennsylvania's own Drew Gulak is your new WWE Cruiserweight champion, so congratulations to him. We kicked off the main portion of WWE Stomping Grounds, the show where they were trying to kick ass and take names. For the WWE Raw Women's title, we had Becky Lynch putting the Raw Women's title on the line against Lacey Evans in a match that no one really wanted to see. I thought, to be honest, it was okay. It was not a great match. Lacey tried, but she was definitely botching. You could see it right away here. She definitely was missing on a few things. It was pretty clear if you were paying somewhat close attention here. Becky got the early jump, and then Lacey got her heat in for a while. Eventually, Becky Lynch makes a strong comeback, and in around 11 minutes and 5 seconds, Lacey tapped out to the disarmer from Becky Lynch, and Becky Lynch got the very quick submission win to retain the Raw Women's title. And then after the match, there was really nothing. No run out from Charlotte, no run out from anyone here. So Becky Lynch won clean here. Now there was a reason why they put this on at the beginning here, the curtain jerk, and we'll find out about that as we go along here. So Becky Lynch retained the Raw Women's title. Next was a tag team grudge match. We had members of the New Day, Big E and Xavier Woods, taking on Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. This was okay for what it was. I thought it was decent. Nothing really to write home about. It was like most of the matches on the card. It was decent. So the heels get the most of the offense in, and Xavier Woods is the one in for most of the match for the New Day. No big surprise, as Big E's continuing just to make his way back from the big knee injury that he had. Eventually get the hot tag into Big E. He cleans house for a little bit, but then unfortunately he's taken out on a shoulder post situation there, and then he is taken out of the match after a big spear or something. In the end, Kevin Owens does win for his team, for the heels, which was my pick, by the way. And I did pick Becky to win in her match against Lacey. I did pick the heels to win, and they won here. Kevin Owens won for his team in roughly around 11 minutes. He beat Xavier Woods with the stunner for the win here. So you figure at some point Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn were going to win one here, because they've been getting beat like a drum a lot on television recently, especially Sami Zayn. So the heels get the win here, and Owens wins with the stunner. And I do give bonus points to Xavier Woods for the nice sell on the stunner, like Scott Hall did all those years ago at WrestleMania to Stone Cold Steve Austin, if you remember that. It was kind of something like that. So the heels get the win here, and there was really nothing more after the match. No run-outs from anyone, and that was that. Next up was for the WWE United States title. It's Samoa Joe defending that title against Ricochet. This was one of the matches I was looking forward to, and for the most part, it delivered pretty well here. They told, I thought, a pretty good story. Maybe a little slow, maybe at times. Ricochet got his offense in early, and Samoa Joe dominated for a while. A typical match, what you would expect. I think Samoa Joe did somewhat get the coquina clutch in once, but Ricochet was able to counter out of it through the ropes. But in the end, at around 12 minutes and 20 seconds, Ricochet won the title. He hit the 630 splash off the top rope on Samoa Joe, and he got the clean win. No outside interference from anyone here. He beat him clean in the ring with the 630, 1, 2, 3, and he is the new United States champion. I did not see that coming. I thought Samoa Joe was retaining here. They obviously see something in Ricochet. They're putting the rocket on him here, and, they're really giving him the big push here early on. So, congratulations to Ricochet for winning the United States title by defeating Samoa Joe. Like I said, I didn't see it coming. And they had this cool backstage visual at the gorilla position as he was coming back through the curtain to celebrate. You saw a number of different talents there. We saw Seth Rollins, we saw Heavy Machinery, we saw Charlotte, among others, back to congratulate him. And then we had a cameo from Triple H congratulating him as well. So kind of a cool moment there for Ricochet to be getting the rub from all the talent there. So that was kind of nice to see. Next up was for the WWE SmackDown Tag Team titles. We had the new Daniel Bryan and Rowan putting their SmackDown Tag titles on the line against Heavy Machinery. Daniel Bryan and Eric Rowan were over huge here. Of course, Daniel Bryan being from the Pacific Northwest up in the Seattle area, he was over like gangbusters here. The crowd was really big here, so they did role reversal here, as with the heels getting all the cheers and the babyfaces getting all the boos here. I thought this was a decent match for what it was. They kind of did a deal where both teams got about half the offense in. The finish at about 14 minutes and 18 seconds came when Daniel Bryan beat Tucker on an inside cradle. Looked like Heavy Machinery was in position to maybe win the tag titles after hitting the compactor, but there was a blind tag made, and Daniel Bryan wound up winning on an inside cradle on Tucker to get the win and for them to retain, which was the right outcome, as I did pick them to retain. So overall, I thought this was a decent match, and of course, I think they had to have known going into this that Daniel Bryan and Eric Rowan were going to get cheered because of where they were at and because of where Daniel Bryan is from originally, up there in the Pacific Northwest. So, nice clean win. And, I would say one thing, that Daniel Bryan and Eric Rowan have a lot more respect now for Heavy Machinery, because Heavy Machinery gave them everything they could handle, but they were lucky to hang on to the titles. Next up was for the WWE SmackDown Women's title. We had Bayley putting that title up on the line against Alexa Bliss. Nikki Cross, of course, in Alexa Bliss's corner. They've had some good matches in the past. This was a decent match. This was not one of their better matches. I told a good enough story. This was one of the matches I wanted to see as well on the card. And I thought they both could have done a little bit better here. They went for the predictable ending. Alexa dominated a good part of the match here. But in the end, at around 10 minutes and 39 seconds, Bayley does win after hitting the Bayley-to-belly suplex on Alexa to retain. This, of course, coming after Nikki Cross does get involved in the match, as we all suspected that she would. She went into the ring to stop Bayley from doing a move on Alexa. She may have been trying to go for the elbow. And Nikki went right into the ring. For some reason, no disqualification was called for at that time, but eventually that backfire would eventually cost Alexa Bliss. Like I said, Bayley won with the Bayley-to-belly to retain at 10 minutes and 39 seconds. I thought for sure there would be some sort of run out from Charlotte, perhaps, because we know she was there, and she didn't get involved in the other match. I figured Charlotte, she was backstage. We saw her. I thought she was going to come out here, maybe do something. I thought maybe there would be a chance if there was a beatdown after the match that maybe we would get a return from Sasha Banks. No Sasha Banks to be found anywhere, and Charlotte did not come out. So it was kind of a ho-hum ending here, really. Not much to it. A little flat if you ask me, but Bayley retaining was the right outcome because I did pick Bayley to retain anyways. Next up was a grudge match. Roman Reigns taking on Drew McIntyre. Of course, Shane McMahon, the best in the world. So he says, with Shane in Drew's corner. Of course, you kind of knew what this was going to be. This was a grudge match. You kind of figured that Shane would get involved in the match at times, which he does, of course. Drew dominated for a while. He got all of his heat in on Roman, but Roman makes the babyface hero comeback here. He eventually was able to eliminate Shane on the outside, and then eventually at 17 minutes and 20 seconds roughly, Roman Reigns beat Drew McIntyre with the spear 1, 2, 3. No runouts from anyone on Roman Reigns' side. No Shane was there, and Roman does win. No No sign of Elias here anywhere is to be found as well, so you figured maybe he would play a factor in the match, but nope. I figured maybe he would come down after the match. Nope, no sign of Elias here. Roman Reigns gets the win on Drew McIntyre, and we know this feud is going to continue because we saw Shane cut a promo backstage afterwards saying that there would be a match on Raw, which we'll talk about on the podcast. So, yeah, we had that. So Roman Reigns got the win. Then next was the WWE Championship match in the steel cage. Kofi Kingston putting the WWE title on the line against Dolph Ziggler. This was okay. For a cage match, this is not the best cage match I have ever seen. I am not a fan. I mentioned this on Twitter as well. I'm not a fan of the pinfall or submission in a steel cage match. To me, you should either win by going through the door or going over the top of the cage like it normally is. I don't like the idea of pinfall or submissions in a cage match. They gave this match plenty of time, but, for a cage match, while it was okay to watch, I mean, it was not the best cage match I've ever seen, and they really didn't do a whole lot use with the cage, to be honest with you. I mean, yeah, they did some things with it, but they could have done a lot more here, but right around 20 minutes, I had it at 19 minutes and 55 seconds. Kofi does retain the title. They did an interesting spot here at the end. Ziggler was inches away from getting to the floor. He was a couple of times throughout the closing portions of the match. He had his hands on the floor, but of course the object's to have the feet on the floor first. So Kofi, who was way over on the other side of the ring, he did this big dive as Dolph was getting close to going out, and he dove right over Dolph Ziggler and landed on the floor first just before Dolph did. So kind of a unique way to win the match. So Kofi went through the door and won to retain the title, and the New Day members did come out to celebrate with Kofi, and there was no runouts from any heels here, so Kofi gets his moment to celebrate yet again, and Dolph just looks like a big loser, but he gave it a good try, and he was close, but the right outcome here with Kofi retaining. I had Kofi as my pick anyways, so it was a decent match, but for Steel Cage, it could have been done better. And then finally, for the WWE NBC Universal title, we had Seth Rollins taking on Baron Corbin, as Rollins put that title on the line. The hook for the match was who was going to be the special guest referee. A lot of different possibilities. A lot of people thought maybe it'd be Brock. Nope. It turned out to be Lacey Evans, of course. This was just another way to tell people that Becky Lynch and Seth Rollins are a couple, which we all know, and I'm getting tired of hearing about that already. It's getting old and it's getting on my nerves. So she's the special guest referee. Of course, she favors Baron Corbin throughout the entire match. She counts fast for him, counts very slow at times for Seth, and doesn't even count for Seth at times. Throughout the match, she would eventually make it a no count-out match, as Baron Corbin was at one point very close to being counted out. And then eventually, after Baron Corbin had used the chair several times, she made it a no disqualification match. So once you knew it was a no disqualification match, and once you knew Lacey was the special guest referee, you knew Becky Lynch was going to come out at some point at the end. And sure enough, that's exactly what happens. They did a deal where Lacey would eventually give Seth a low blow, and then that was enough to trigger Becky to come out. Looked like Baron Corbin was going to win the title. Becky comes out and takes care of Lacey, takes her out of commission as a special guest referee. Other officials come out, and then we see referee John Cone actually go into the match. Of course, he and Baron Corbin had the issue at the show at Saudi Arabia, so Cone does come into the ring. It was enough of a distraction for Seth Rollins to eventually hit the stump at 18 minutes and 23 seconds to retain the title, as John Cone counted the 3 counts. So that's what we had there. And then, of course, Becky and Seth celebrated as they went off the air. I thought that maybe Brock was going to come out, but no, not even a tease. Not even a tease from Paul Heyman, not even any music from Brock Lesnar. Brock Lesnar was clearly not at the show here, and this kind of went off the air flat here. So I thought this was an okay match. I thought it was kind of clunky. I mean, it could have been better. It wasn't one of their better matches. So, yeah. So now it's time for my official report card grade. They do get bonus points for it ending early. It wasn't supposed to end until about 11, but it was over by about a quarter after 10 Eastern. My official report card grade for it, I'm gonna give it a B-. To me, this was essentially a house show that was televised with a couple of twists just to keep people honest. So, B-. I thought for the most part everyone did their job here, but this came off as just a glorified house show with a title and a couple of little twists. So that is your official WWE Stomping Grounds 2019 review here on the JBSN Media Network YouTube channel page. We'll see you in the next time. Bye for now, everyone.
For the JBSN Media Network, this is Jenna Green speaking.